It's been rumored, it's been teased, it's been stated that it could happen, and yet we didn't believe it because it just didn't seem right. And yet here we are, 6ix9ine has officially been released from jail early, and not for the reasons you might expect. Join us as we look at this new situation, what brought us to this point, and whether this is true justice. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Did you want to win any of these items on the screen? If so, be sure to watch the whole video, leave a like, and comment the hidden message. And with that being said, let's get right back into the video. He's out.
You know what I'm saying? I'm popping straightway shit, man. You know that. I'm back home, King New York City.
We're not lying. We're not joking. We're not saying it could happen. 6ix9ine is officially out of prison, and the rap world is shocked by the way he pulled it off. Do recall, and we'll explain more in detail later, that he was sentenced to prison that was supposed to last until October or November, though some reports say August now because of various factors, but those are obviously moot. And yet, he's totally out of jail now. How does that happen? Simple, the pandemic happened. Confused? I'll explain. The coronavirus that is sweeping the world is a very serious problem. Anyone who tells you otherwise is a liar and a fool, and there are places where if someone was to get infected, it could cause fatal problems to everyone around them. One of those places is a prison. Now sure, you could argue that because pretty much all the inmates are in prison before the virus got turned loose, including 6ix9ine, that doesn't technically mean they can't get it via visitors, prison guards, and etc. Now as for why 6ix9ine himself got out of jail for this, it's because he apparently has asthma, which we honestly didn't know he had before, and he better have had to prove it to the judge. And people with asthma have a higher risk of getting infected with the virus, and because of the poor prison system, it would have been very hard for him to take care of himself as well as not infect other people. To be clear, he does not have the virus, but he was afraid of getting sick, and thus he begged the prisons and then various judges to let him out. And after a week of begging, one did because they felt the virus was a good excuse for him to be set free. The COVID-19 pandemic is extraordinary and unprecedented in modern times in this nation. It presents a clear and present danger to free society for reasons that need no elaboration. COVID-19 presents a heightened risk for incarcerated defendants like Mr. Hernandez with respiratory ailments such as asthma, Judge Engelmeyer wrote. He continued, "The Centers for Disease Control warns that persons with asthma are at high risk of serious illness if they contract the disease. Further, the crowded nature of municipal jails, such as the facility in which Mr. Hernandez is housed, presents an outsized risk that the COVID-19 contagion, once it gains entry, will spread, and realistically, a high-risk inmate who contracts the virus while in prison will face challenges in caring for himself." He was released on April 2nd and is now at home. Speaking of which, his new home life.
On home confinement. So you would think he wouldn't be allowed to just go out and spend like this, but apparently he is.
If you're expecting 6ix9ine to just jump right back into home life because he's released from jail, it's not that simple, and honestly that's the best news of this whole situation. Because of what's going on and the reason he was released, he's still bound by the rules of jail. In this case, he's under house arrest, and he even has a GPS monitor to make sure that he stays in his home outside of medical trips and visits to his lawyer. Other than that, he can't leave, and he'll even have to do video chats with certain people in the court system should things go wrong. In short, he's not going to be living the high life outside of just being in his own home, which I'm sure some people will say is a major victory, in that being locked inside your own house isn't as bad as being locked inside of a prison. No doubt 6ix9ine will try to make the most of his situation and no doubt abuse the privileges that have been given to him, but that's another list entirely. The new situation will last for a few more months until his prison sentence is completely served. More than likely, should 6ix9ine push his luck and try to commit some violations, it'll end with him back in jail, which I'm sure is what most people are hoping for, especially since this whole case has been nuts since the beginning of it all. 6ix9ine's arrest by the FBI. Before there was a release, or a sentencing hearing, or before there was a plea deal, there was 6ix9ine getting arrested along with members of his street crew in the 9 Trey Bloods on November 18th, 2018. A day that set the rap world on fire for more reasons than you might expect, and a catalyst for the next year's worth of rap stories about what the group did, what 6ix9ine did, what 6ix9ine said to get himself out of the situation, and more. For those who don't know, the 9 Trey Bloods are a notorious group in New York who deal with all sorts of illegal properties and enterprises. To that end, 6ix9ine was not only just helping them with those enterprises, but he was also leading them in certain ways. But the tipping point for many was when he started to reveal to the world at large that he was a member of the 9 Trey Bloods, including singing about it in many songs that he had made and having some of the Bloods be in his music videos. His constant yammering about what he was doing with the group, in non-specific terms obviously, was what tipped the FBI off that he might just be the person they need to look into to find dirt on the group. The FBI likes to take out groups like these so that they won't be on the street anymore. So this was an opportunity that they couldn't ignore. And trust me, they didn't. They bided their time, got warrants for wiretaps, the ability to search places for evidence, etc. By the time November 2018 had come around, the FBI was not only loaded for 6ix9ine with the evidence, but they also had the ability to charge them on many counts, including racketeering, conspiracy, illegal enterprise, distribution of illegal substances, and much more. And to be clear, the charges that were put against the group were for the whole group, not just individual members for certain crimes. Eventually, the FBI made the arrest and took a lot of dangerous people off the streets. The problem was that while they did have a lot of evidence against the 9 Trey Bloods and 6ix9ine, they needed something a little more than just that. I know that sounds weird, but sometimes the evidence isn't enough. They needed a confession, or better yet, a snitch. And we all know who stepped up to answer that call. 6ix9ine the snitch.
In 2019, he pled guilty to a number of charges and was looking at decades in prison, but will likely receive a reduced sentence for his cooperation.
Let me lay something out for you. When it comes to groups, whether it be business partners, singing groups, or street groups, one of the things that you would hope to get from the others in your party is loyalty. Loyalty to the cause, loyalty to each other, whatever you want to define it, as it should be there. The difference is that in business, the goal is often money or power, so betrayals happen all the time. In things like music group, the loyalty is there until you hit it big. Then you have to choose whether you stay in the group or go solo with your new fan fame and try to make it big, like Justin Timberlake. So again, betrayal is expected depending on the people involved. But when it comes to street groups and the rap community, of which 6ix9ine is both a part of, the need for loyalty isn't just a request, it's a necessity. The loyalty of the groups can make or break a dynamic and of course, keep someone out of jail. So yeah, when it comes right down to it, you expect someone in your crew to have your back when you go to jail and you're offered the prisoner's dilemma. If none of you talk, then you have to go with the evidence, which can be taken in several different ways. And when the FBI had to figure out how to put the final nail in the 9 Trey Bloods that they had, they knew exactly where to look, 6ix9ine. Because they knew based on everything that he had done and everything that he had said, plus the fact that he fired his street crew a few weeks before the arrest, that he wasn't on the best terms with the group. 6ix9ine had a knack for doing things that's best for him and not for everyone else. So the FBI knew that if they could flip him, he would be what they needed to get things done. And they were right, because he flipped and quick. The plea deal that will set him free.
Guilty of racketeering, with Harv catching a separate charge for kidnapping 6ix9ine in July 2018. They both are looking at years behind bars.
So what exactly is the plea deal that 6ix9ine signed that got him the lesser sentence we'll talk about soon? The amount of charges that were put against him in the 9 Trey Bloods was staggering. So much so that 2 different charges had life sentences. And when it comes right down to it, 6ix9ine was likely to be charged with at least one of them, if not both, based on the evidence the FBI had compiled. So when the FBI came to 6ix9ine, they made him an offer he almost literally couldn't refuse. They promised to take the 2 life sentences off the table, and as a bonus, he couldn't be charged the minimum of 47 years for all the other charges, or even get close to that number should he be given more jail time, hence the likelihood of him getting maybe 5 years at the most. All he needed to do in return was snitch on the other members of the 9 Trey Bloods, specifically the ones that were arrested with him on the night in November. He would need to help get their convictions by any legal means, meaning evidence and testimony, so that they could be put away. In February, he signed the plea deal and agreed to be a snitch, and by September 2019, he was basically a one-man wrecking crew in regards to taking down the 9 Trey Bloods. From his former manager to his bodyguards to even the godfather of the group, 6ix9ine revealed dirt to the FBI about every single one of them. And while some are waiting their own sentencing hearings, they have all been convicted of various crimes. Some even took smaller, not rat plea deals to ensure that they got as little jail time as possible. Some of them even pleaded with the judge to try and get a few years off their sentence. It worked at times, it didn't in others. As if that weren't enough, 6ix9ine even went to court in September 2019 and decided to let it all hang out by accusing other people of being members of the group, even stating that Cardi B was a blood. She is, and she isn't for the record. She's part of another group called Bloods, but not the 9 Trey Bloods. There's a big difference. So anyway, he did his job and his crew is mostly put away, and he gave evidence and details to the FBI and prosecutors to try and take other members off the streets, all of which has endeared him to the court and certain officials, which would pay off in the end. The verdict. The biggest wildcard in this whole case was the judge who administered over the whole trial and had the power of the sentencing. By their own power, they could demand the maximum sentence or be the one to say that they didn't think 6ix9ine deserved any more jail time. Both sides were making cases why one or the other should be rendered, but in the end the judge said 2 years in jail. But why? Why didn't the plea deal render everything else he confessed to moot? That would be because the judge in this case, Judge Paul Engelmeyer, the same guy who decided to let 6ix9ine out of jail because of the virus, noted that 6ix9ine was a central figure in the vicious and brutal gang. Engelmeyer said he caused mayhem around the city and used the gang as his personal hit squad. The wording is very important. The defense of 6ix9ine hinged on the fact that he wasn't a major player in the 9 Trey Bloods, that he was there simply to boost his street cred and try to make his music even better and have people backing him up and plugging his stuff and such. That would be convincing if it was true, because through various means and sources including 6ix9ine himself, we know that he wasn't an innocent bystander at all in the 9 Trey Bloods. He was a factor. He wasn't the leader, to be clear, not even close, but he was a member who had a lot of sway and a lot of influence and definitely ordered attacks on rivals via the 9 Trey Bloods. Some of these attacks actually got innocent people hurt, ones who weren't associated with any side of the matter, and that's what people forget at times. Sure, he snitched on people and he put bad people behind bars, but he still did bad things through these people. The judge knew that and thought that the time served sentence wasn't enough for all that he had done. In my judgment, your conduct is too violent and selfish to make 13 months reasonable. You will not be going free today. Engelmeyer said Tekashi deserved a great deal of credit for cooperation, but 13 months as time served was not nearly enough. To many, the judge was still too lenient on 6ix9ine, but at least he didn't get him off entirely, which is what the defense team and 6ix9ine wanted more than anything else. The pleas for help from 6ix9ine. This isn't the first time that 6ix9ine has pleaded for special treatment and special favors. He did it before his sentencing too. You almost had to wonder what 6ix9ine was going to say in his sentencing hearing before he got his verdict. It is customary to allow the one on trial one last plea to the judge before the verdict is rendered. And lo and behold, that's exactly what 6ix9ine did. I now know that I am remorseful for what happened because I was blessed with the gift of an opportunity that most people dream of, but I squandered it by getting involved with the wrong people and misrepresenting myself when I should have been true to myself and my fans, Hernandez wrote. I'm sorry to the victims who were affected by my actions, to my fans who look up to me and were misled, to my family who depends on me, and to this courtroom for this mess that I contributed to. There's a lot to unpack there, and yet that wasn't the only thing that was said. His lawyer added this before things were settled. Mr. Hernandez is a rap artist who foolishly joined the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods, here and after 9 Trey, in an attempt to promote a gangster persona which would help him sell his music and advance his career, Lazaro wrote in the filing. If that's still not enough for you, 6ix9ine also said in the statement, I'm not perfect, I've made a lot of bad choices, but that does not make me a bad person. I'm sorry, but yeah, it does. Think about it all, will you? Think about all the things that 6ix9ine has done, both before and after his time with the 9 Trey Bloods. Think about all the people he's hurt, the insults he's thrown, the wars he started both on the internet and in the real world, all for his own glory and image personification. As we've noted here on King Trending, the one thing that 6ix9ine cares about is 6ix9ine. Everything he's done, including doing what he did for the 9 Treys, is about him getting bigger, him getting more famous, him getting more powerful in the rap world and beyond. And yet he comes to the judge and says that everything he does doesn't make him a bad person? Doesn't he know what it means to be good or bad? I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. Which brings us to the final point. Is this justice? So as you can see, the whole case of 6ix9ine has been crazy, topsy-turvy, and more. And yet technically we're still not done with this yet, because he's on house arrest right now. So let's ask the final question. Is this justice?
Sentence for his cooperation. His sentencing was moved up and is now set for December 2019. This is the latest development in the saga of 6ix9ine.
The simple answer is no, it's not. And for all the simple reasons that I'm sure you can expect to think of. Mainly, he used a global pandemic to get out of jail because he was afraid of getting sick, and now instead of suffering in a jail cell for his crimes, he can relax at home under court supervision. Though some of his funds were taken by the government, he didn't lose everything. He can have people come and bring him stuff and live a very happy life for the next few months while he waits out the last part of his sentence. And when that's done, he's 100% free, and we should be 100% afraid of what he's going to do afterwards. Now, while justice may not be on our side here, karma might. If you look at the long history of violence and reckless acts of 6ix9ine, you'll see that he doesn't waste time getting in trouble. He might get into trouble while under house arrest. He might do something the week after he's truly free. It's hard to say. But for all the people who have been hurt by him in the 9 Trey Bloods, the fact that he is at his own house relaxing right now is not justice, it's a crime. And there you have it, a look at the current state of 6ix9ine and what led him to that point. Can you believe that 6ix9ine is out? What do you think he's going to do under house arrest? Do you wish that he was back in jail? Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe. I'm King Trending, and I'll see you next time.
A simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's really your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. Go for it.